Mark.
Hello, Ofek. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Fabulous.
I'm glad to hear that. First, I would like to say that this is a true honor for me to interview you. I admire you as a person and all of your Rotary work.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, this week is the 40 years ago this week is when I joined my Rotary Club.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes.
This is amazing. Yeah, I think this before 1 month I joined my Rotary as well. Oh, I founded my club back then 3 years ago, and now I think we are one of the most active clubs in my country.
Very good. And this is an Interact club?
Yeah, this is an Interact club.
Okay. And what city are you in?
I live in Nahariya. It's a city in the north of Israel. Yeah, in the border of Lebanon.
Okay.
Before we will start, I would like to tell you a little bit more about Hear My Story. So Hear My Story is not a part of my club. It's a community I founded almost a year ago in the Rotary Interactive Quarantine. This is a community of all Rotary youth which strive to help all the Rotary youth around the world to speak up for themselves and their communities. And we do this by 3 ways. First, storytelling. We ask all the interactors and Rotary Youth Exchange students to tell about their lives with a little bit about how they experience in global situations such as women's rights, bullying, racism, and even climate change. And we do this. I'm sorry. We do this every week. We post a video, and we do this to raise awareness. And I think we are doing pretty well. We got some pretty good comments from a lot of Interact clubs. Second, we encourage clubs, Interact clubs, to do community projects in order to raise awareness, like beach cleanings or a campaign to stop bullying, that kind of stuff. And after they do this, we share their awesome activities on our social media. And last but not least, the true faces of Rotary, our interview. I believe that Rotary gave to me a lot of experience in my personal and professional life, and I believe it truly changed my life. And I wanted a lot of more people all around the world to join Rotary, and for that, I thought the best way is to show them who we really are and how Rotary affects our lives.
Excellent. That's great. Now this interactive quarantine. This was kind of founded just like 9 months ago, right?
Yeah.
After
right.
the quarantine started.
Yeah. Actually, I'm one of the zone coordinators in the leadership team in Interactive Quarantine.
Okay. Okay. I think back at the very beginning, I talked with a youth exchange student in Louisiana, a young woman from Venezuela, if I remember correctly. And she was one of
Annie.
Okay. I think she was one of the founders.
Yeah, that's right. She founded Interactive Quarantine, and without her, Hear My Story wouldn't be founded.
Very good. But you took the next step.
Yeah, I believe I did. So I guess we will start our interview, if that's okay for you.
Absolutely, yes.
Great. So as you remember, I sent you the questions beforehand. I asked a few of my friends, Rotaractors and Interactors, which had some, which wanted to ask you about your professional and Rotary life. So for a first question, I asked this every interviewee. Describe your life before Rotary.
My life before Rotary. That was a long time ago, Ofek. I joined Rotary immediately after I finished my education. And so I joined in December 1980. And so I was 25 years old at that time. So now you know how old I am. And so my life before Rotary was my, my growing up years and my education years and my falling in love with my wife. And so I was raised on a farm, a large farm in southern Illinois in the United States. And my family continues to farm in southern Illinois and in western Kentucky. It's a large farming operation. My cousins run the farming operation. I am not a farmer, and I was never cut out to be a farmer. But after high school, in my local, I went to the local Catholic grade school and went to the public high school. And then I was lucky enough to be admitted to Harvard College, to Harvard University. And I did my undergraduate education at Harvard. And so I can remember, I went to a very small high school with only 200 students in the entire high school. My graduating class had 42 students. And so that May I graduated, and in September I went to Boston, to Cambridge, Massachusetts, and started at Harvard. And I can remember the very first class I walked into. It was a psychology class. I didn't end up taking it, but at Harvard you spend a week trying out different classes before you decide what classes you will register for. And there were more students in that classroom than there were in my entire high school. And so going to Harvard was a big change. And so I spent 4 years at Harvard and then went to law school, coming back to Vanderbilt University Law School in Nashville, Tennessee. And in the United States, law school is a 3-year program. And during my time at Vanderbilt, I met another beautiful, charming law student named Gay Blackburn, and we fell in love, and we finished law school. We graduated in May of 1979, and we were married in June of 1979. And then we took the bar exam, the examination to become practicing lawyers in July of 1979. And during my time in law school, the other significant event was that both of my parents were killed in an automobile accident shortly after I met my wife, Gay. And my wife had the opportunity to meet my parents only one time. And
Wow.
after, about 10 days after my wife met them, my parents were killed. And then after we were married, we went, that was the summer of 1979. We moved to New York City, and I spent one academic year at New York University obtaining a master's degree, a Master of Laws in taxation, such that I'm a tax lawyer. And it was, we returned to Decatur, Alabama. So my wife, you know, I told you, I was raised on the farm in Southern Illinois. I met my wife at Vanderbilt Law School in Nashville, Tennessee, which is just a 3-hour drive from my home in Southern Illinois. Then my wife, she is from Decatur, Alabama, which is 2 hours further south of Nashville. So Nashville, where we went to law school, was kind of in the middle from my home and her home. And her father was a lawyer here in Decatur, Alabama, who was practicing law by himself in a solo law practice. And he invited us to join the firm here. And so we came here after I got the master's, after I finished the program for the master's degree in taxation, which Gay's father had received 25 years before. And he had the same degree from the same advanced degree from the same law school. And we came here in June of 1980. It was coming back for Gay, but it was moving here, you know, for the rest of my life for me. And immediately, I had a lawyer in town inviting me to join the Kiwanis Club, and a bank trust officer inviting me to join the Rotary Club. My father-in-law was already in the Kiwanis Club, so I joined the Rotary Club to network in a different area. And I joined the Rotary Club of Decatur 40 years ago this week on December 12, 1980. And I've been a member ever since. They have not kicked me out. And as you know, I have been very active in Rotary ever since that time. So, you know, I was a Rotarian. I was married, but before we had children, right at the beginning of my law career, I started practicing law in June. I joined Rotary in December. And so my life before Rotary was a long time ago.
Well, this is a fabulous story. Becoming from a farmer to a lawyer, and then going to Massachusetts, and then building a life, and after this, going to Rotary Club. This is one of the great stories I've ever heard about the life before Rotary. I was interested in, is any of your children are now interactors or Rotaractors or Rotarians?
Our two daughters, Phyllis and Margaret, were interactors when they were in high school at a Catholic boarding school here in Alabama. They have not joined Rotary. My older daughter is raising her two sons. She's a lawyer, but right now she's raising her family, and she has not had the opportunity to join. Before she had children, she was just about to join she was 1 week away from joining a Rotary Club in suburban Boston. But then she got then another law firm in downtown Boston contacted her about joining that firm. And so she put off joining the suburban club, but of course then she moved to the downtown area and never actually joined. And our second daughter, Margaret, is a resident, just completed her medical degree, and she's doing a residency now, and it's not possible to be in a Rotary Club while you're a resident. And then we have an honorary daughter who's still in university, and she would like to join a Rotaract club, but there is no Rotaract club in her area where she goes to school. However, I do have a story. Here I've been a Rotarian for 40 years, and well, I should say first, my wife is a Rotarian. 25 years ago, my wife was, I'd already been district governor, and this was the early 90s, the mid 90s actually. And my wife was at that time on the board of trustees of her college, Agnes Scott College in Atlanta, Georgia. And after the meeting, a group of the trustees were headed to the local Rotary Club meeting. And they said, "Gay, you're a Rotarian, come on, you come join us." And she had to say, "Well, I'm very active with Rotary, but I'm not a member." And she came back to me and after that trip and said, "I must be a Rotarian." But she said, "I do not want to be a member of your Rotary Club. There's no Rotary Club in the world big enough for both of us." So I talked with the Rotary governor at that time, and I suggested that we try to form a new breakfast club here in Decatur. And my wife, Gay, is a charter member of that breakfast club, and that breakfast club will celebrate its 25th anniversary in March. So it was formed on March 6, 1996, and it will have its 25th anniversary here in less than 3 months' time.
Well,
But more recently, oh wait, there's even a better story. Here I've been a Rotarian for 40 years, and my sisters, they've never joined Rotary. And this summer, my sister, who lives not far from you in Ankara, Turkey,
whoa.
she attended the virtual convention, the 2020 virtual Rotary convention, and she went to the House of Friendship, and she found the Rotarian Action Group Against Slavery, and she made some inquiries whether there were any Rotary clubs that would accept international members focused on combating slavery. And she ended up joining the Rotary Club of District 5950, Combating Human Trafficking. It's a Rotary Club based in a district in Minnesota, but it meets as an e-club, so they have membership around the world. And my sister did that without telling me until after she had joined. And so she is now a Rotarian and a member of that e-club. And in fact, there is an article about her becoming a member on the rotaryvoices.org blog at rotary.org.
Wow, it seems like you spread your Rotary loveness around every member of your family.
Well, even those who are not Rotarians currently, they are very connected to Rotary. Our two daughters, we have the two daughters and then an honorary daughter, a young woman who is not related to us but has become part of our family due to circumstances in her own family. And like our two older daughters, they both went to Harvard as well. And the dean of admissions said their experience in being in your household and seeing the world through Rotary was part of what we looked at to decide to grant them admission to Harvard.
This is unbelievably amazing. Not just your story, but every member of your family story. When I started going out to my intra club, I couldn't believe until I joined the RIQ, Rotary Interactive Quarantine, how big Rotary is. I heard we have 1 million members, but it sounds just like a number. But after you really get to know all of the people, it seems like we live in a really, really small world.
It is a small world. We are connected. I mean, how else would you come to be in Israel and come to interview this lawyer in a small city in Alabama?
Yeah.
Because Rotary connects the world. And you know what Rotary connects the world is, the theme from when I was president last year.
Yeah, this is my favorite theme of all the time of Rotary.
It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite theme also.
Yeah, we still use it in my club and in Hear My Story.
Well, and even President Holger, the current Rotary International president, he doesn't use Rotary Connects the World, but he is very frequently talking about connections. You read some of his letters and his statements, and many times there's a focus on connection.
Yeah, I'm sure about it, because being in Rotary means to not just contributing to the community, but also have friendly connections with all the people in the world. You meet several people, and who knows what they will do next in their future. Yeah, my grandfather also had an opportunity to join a Rotary club before I was even born, but his firm was about to raise up, and he didn't have the time. But he told me once I joined Rotary, Rotary has the most influence and special people on Earth, and he really loves the idea that I joined my intra club.
That's great.
I think I wanted to know more about your Rotary life. I know I read your bio, several bios, and it seems like you have done a lot than any other member I know, all the Rotarians and Rotaractors. So I wanted to ask you, what is the best experience you have from your Rotary life?
Well, the best experience and the most long-lasting are the connections that I have made, that Gay and I have made, that our family has made. We have friends all over the world because of Rotary. You know, we're connected. My club has about 150 members, and I'm connected here locally with those members, and Gay's Club has about 40 members, and we're very connected. But yet we now have friends all over the globe. Gay's Rotary Club is meeting virtually on Wednesday mornings. And for the last several months, they have a Rotarian from Australia who stays up until midnight. I mean, he's a member in Australia, but he stays up until midnight in Australia and comes in on Zoom almost every week to Gay's Rotary Club meeting. And the reason that he comes, his connection was that he was part of an exchange team that came from Australia, about 20 years ago. But we now have, you know, when our daughter Phyllis was married 13 years ago, we had wedding guests from 16 countries around the world. And, you know, yes, a couple of those were guests, not because of Rotary. Maybe two countries, 3 countries were represented not because of Rotary. And then the US, of course, but the other 12, the only reason we had guests from those countries was because of our Rotary connections. You know, back in 1989, I was incoming district governor. I was 33 years old. I turned 34 before I became governor. And so I was the youngest governor in the world that year. And Gay and I and our daughters went to the Rotary International Assembly so that I could receive my training to prepare for the Rotary year. And we connected with a young Brazilian incoming governor. And we have been friends with that family ever since. That's 31 years, more than 31 years now. And one of their daughters came and spent the summer with us in like an unofficial exchange, just friend to friend. Then our older daughter, Phyllis, went and spent 4 or 5 weeks with them. They were present for our daughter's wedding. Gay and I have been to their home for both of their daughters' weddings. Plus, we have visited each other on other occasions, and we still maintain that connection. And when I go to Brazil, like when I went for the Brazil Institute as president, he and his wife were assigned to be our aides. And so, we just have this connection. I had the opportunity to serve as a trustee of the Rotary Foundation. And there were 2 other Rotarians, one from Canada and one from Germany, who served on the same term. So the 3 of us were kind of a group. We came in together and served the 4 years together. Well, both of them are 20 years older than I am. And we have maintained connection. Bob Scott from Coburg, Ontario, and his wife, Anne, and Rolf Herndler, who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, but his wife, Grit, from Neumarkt in der Oberpfalz in Germany. And so I could go on and on and on about connections that we have, but that is, to me, that is the greatest part of Rotary. And that is why I chose the theme, Rotary Connects the World. But yes, I could talk about events that happened when I was president of Rotary International, when I was on the board of directors of Rotary International, meeting, you know, as president shortly before the travel got locked down. You know, Gay and I met the president of Portugal, and we were about to meet the Prince of Liechtenstein, but had to come home just 2 days before that was to happen because of the pandemic. And so there are many, and there's some heartwarming stories where we've seen projects and the good work of Rotarians. But when you say what's the best experience, I have to say it's the connections that we have made around the world.
I agree with you. I agree with you with 100%. Rotary gave the best thing Rotary gave to me is the friends I have all around the world. At first, it was as you said from projects and the connections on professional way, but eventually I became really good friends with many of them. We talk every day, and every time we don't, I feel like there is something missing in my day.
It's great. Rotary is just a wonderful experience.
Yeah. As I said, I agree with you. I remembered on the beginning of our talk, you told me you are an attorney. I read it on your bio that you are a name partner on your firm. I wanted to ask, how do you think Rotary helped you become a better attorney?
Well, I think that Rotary has assisted me in my professional life by hopefully polishing my skills with respect to public speaking, interacting with people, listening to what they're really saying, you know, not just looking through them, but to, you know, as I meet with a client, to find out what they're saying. You know, my law practice involves business transactions, which may not have that much emotion to them, but it also involves estate planning, helping people decide and plan out how their assets will pass to assist their family after their deaths. And sometimes that requires a lot of understanding, empathy, and hopefully participating in Rotary projects has given me that empathy, and speaking to Rotary groups has helped me polish my public speaking skills. So that's how I think Rotary has helped me professionally. And, you know, locally, connections have helped, you know, just in terms of business development. But there's more to Rotary than just the local club, too.
Yeah, this is amazing how Rotary helps us also with the professional life. I have another friend who is a Rotary actor, and he's about to get his lawyer license, and he told me almost the exact same things. Rotary helped him to understand people more, and of course the public speaking, but caring about people. It's the most amazing thing Rotary is giving us. I remember that on my first experience with Rotary, it was when I was 12 years old. I didn't have an intra club just 3 years after, but my local Rotary club had a contest. Was called the young speaker. We have trainers who taught us how to public speak, how to build a good speech, body language, and more. And eventually, we gave speech in front of 1,000 people, which is amazing for a 20 years old boy. Yeah, at the beginning of our talk, I remembered I told you my club founded a month ago. I was mistaken. It was a month ago, but I meant for my young speech. It was on the summer, beginning of the year, the end of the year, and I gave a speech about human rights in my country, and I faced a lot of global situation, such as I told you, human rights, but also some of refugees and how we treat people all around the world and how we should treat people and what can we do to help them. It was a great experience for me, and I think this is the moment that truly changed my life. From my speech to hear an interview, and I couldn't think Rotary more. And fun fact, I won the third place.
All right, very good. Very good.
Talking about young people, hear my story. As I told you, we try to encourage the old Rotary youth, to influence more on their communities. So I thought the best thing that you can ask a past president of Rotary International is how you think we can engage the Rotary youth more in the global issues in the world, how they can influence.
Well, I think we need to continue with our connections. Youth exchange is one of the most valuable programs that Rotary offers. To take young people from one country, one culture, one life experience, and take them across the globe, or maybe not even so far, but to another country, another culture, another life experience. Those sorts of opportunities, I think, have a tremendous impact in establishing the ability of those young people to have influence on the global situation. They're not going to be the diplomats or the government leaders immediately at that age, but they develop the skills and help create the environment that makes global connection thrive. Even like this interactive quarantine, where you connect with other interactors around the world, that you may not be immersed in another culture, but you begin to gain an understanding for the life experiences of others. And that understanding, that empathy, to me, is what is so important. And at this time in world history, empathy at a government level seems to be declining. There's, in many areas, a focus on nationalism and our country first, and our country and only our country. And, you know, we belong to a global community, and we must have empathy to have understanding of what the other person is experiencing. So I think that's the best way. I think that's how we, I mean, there are many ways. You know, there are many Rotary clubs that sponsor programs and seminars and world affairs events. I don't know if they still have it, but the Rotary down at Auburn University and in another part of Alabama, there has been a Rotary World Affairs event that's brought in young people from around the world. So any of those things that make those connections, I think will have a tremendous impact upon youth and their influence in global affairs.
I heard about the Rotary Youth Exchange program. Unfortunately, just this year, so I couldn't sign for this and travel to another country. But I met a lot of students at my age who did this program, and they told me it truly changed them about the way they think, about the way they accept people, and above all about the connections, as you said. But being a global citizens, that's the word that was appeared at most. On Hear My Story, we also try to become global citizens as much as we can. As I told you, we engage the students with a lot of global issues that unfortunately not talking a lot on schools. First of all, climate change or women rights. But when we do this, I think even a little, our mind begins to open. We learn about a new thing we never heard about, and of course, it's not in the best situation in the world, but just knowing about it, we can begin thinking about how we can fix it, even a little bit. Do you know any program that did a campaign for raising awareness in your Rotary life?
For raising awareness of what precisely?
I don't think it really matters. Any situation.
Well, I mean, right now, Rotary is very focused upon raising awareness of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I mean, there are now on the Rotary.org website, there are programs. I know we are actually at the highest levels. The board of directors and the trustees have participated in sessions seeking to create awareness about equity. You know, and what is the difference between equity and equality? You know, equality is kind of everybody gets the same thing, but equity is everybody gets what's necessary to bring them to the same level. And so there's, this in the last 2 years, I guess it was January of 2019 when the Rotary Board of Directors adopted the first diversity, equity, and inclusion statement. And it's one thing to adopt the statement. It's another thing to actually give it life. And so there's a lot of effort being done to make that awareness.
I heard about it, the difference between equity and equality. Actually, we studied it in my citizenship class. We learned the differences between several groups in our local community, and I think this is what should be done. As you said, given if we give everybody, for example, I remembered a quote from Albert Einstein, who said, if you are going to test the ability of a fish flying into a tree, everybody is going to get felt. You need to be specific to your audience and your community in what you give to them in order for them to succeed and build the life they are meant to be. And about the DEI, I actually was on a seminar, on the first seminar there. I've been a guest speaker on the first session of the diversity, equity, and inclusion with 3 more amazing speakers who became really close friends of mine. I was shocked and so surprised about how many things we can learn from one session, and how many good things Rotaractors and Rotarians do. We talked about a lot of things about Rotary, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, and Rotary exchange program. And I think it's necessary to ask, how do you think Rotary can grow from this? If I be more specific, where do you see Rotary in 10 years?
Well, I hope to see Rotary in 10 years with a significantly larger membership. I'd like to say 2 million members, but I think that may be too ambitious. But hopefully 1.5 million members, but not in Rotary clubs and Rotaract clubs, that not all of them in the traditional form of a Rotary club. I talked to you about my sister joining the Rotary Club combating human trafficking. My sister had no interest whatsoever in the traditional Rotary Club experience. To go to a meeting, to have a meal, to listen to a speaker. She was not interested in that. But when she went to the virtual convention, she realized that there's another side of Rotary, a very small part at this point, but expanding, with cause-based Rotary clubs. and that don't have all the trappings. I mean, you know, many Rotary clubs have rituals. Some rituals are more ritualistic, if you will, than others. You know, my own Rotary Club, you come into the meeting, they ring the bell, immediately sing a song. We say the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. We have the invocation. We have another song. Then we sit down to our meal, and it's a very rigid, ritualistic. And people, you know, we have 150 members. They enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Other clubs, you know, in other countries, I mean, you know, when they start the meeting, someone comes up behind the president and puts a chain of office around their neck. It's called chaining the president. Or, you know, they'll do that with the district governor. That doesn't happen here in this country, but it happens in India and England, some places. And while that's all fine, it doesn't get to the focus of what Rotary is as a humanitarian service organization, as an organization to connect and perform service. In some areas, that helps with the connection part. You know, you're not there just to perform service. If you were there just to perform service, you could go volunteer with the Red Cross, go in, do your thing, and leave. But it's to develop a connection, to develop a network. And anyway, I hope to see a Rotary in 10 years that is larger, that engages a larger population, that has individuals in a wide variety of clubs, of, you know, many traditional clubs, but many non-traditional clubs, and even some where they are still Rotarians and connected with Rotary, but not a part, not even a member of a club. You know, we are working right now on a global pilot project for non-club-based membership, where you can be connected with Rotary, but not be a member of a club. Now that's, you know, I hope Rotary doesn't become that way exclusively, but we need to be, you know, right now, and for the last several years, I mean, for the last 100 years, we've really only had one product. And we need to have many products to attract many different types of people. So every community, even if they already have a Rotary Club, they probably need another Rotary Club, or even another 2 Rotary Clubs that do things in a different way. And I hope we see more and more of that. And of course, the integration of Rotaract so that they become more of a part of Rotary, more connected with Rotary. I think that's all very important, and that's what I hope we see in the next 10 years.
I really like the idea of the non-traditional clubs. I'm not saying I will be a part of it, because I really like the way we are now. But for other people who don't want to be a member, this could be a great opportunity for just volunteering and contributing to the community, and also make connections without the commitment if they can't. But I think we can get a lot of it, see a whole new diversity of people, and even become better and better, because those people who will become members of the non-members clubs are going to be the voice of the outside community of Rotary. They will let us see what we can see, and hopefully we will grow from it. Unfortunately, we got to our last question. I ask this on every interview, and I think this is the most important question of all. So I save this for the end of the conversation. We talked about a lot of things, but I think, and I know a lot of interactors and all Rotary members are will look on our interview and look at you specifically and ask themselves how they can get such a rich history with Rotary and with their own lives. So what I wanted to ask you is, what advice can you give to our viewers, Rotary related or not Rotary related?
Well, I think the greatest advice that I can give is to stay engaged, stay connected. Rotary has so much to offer, but what it has to offer is what everybody brings to Rotary. And so whether you're an interactor, a Rotaractor, a Rotarian, whatever kind of Rotary member you are, be engaged, participate. Don't just go along for the ride. And you will make the experience that much greater for everyone else, but you will also enhance your own experience. So that's my advice.
I loved it, and I will even adopt it for my personal life. We can all grow on all ages, and I believe that what we really want when we join Rotary is becoming a better humans. Rotary, as you said, we bring to Rotary what we are, but we can't forget the first seed that Paul Harris planted then in the last century. And I believe that the moment his and three friends started Rotary was just to become better humans. And I believe that if I will keep up with Rotary, I will become a better human than I am now. And I can always grow if I have Rotary by my side. I wanted to thank our viewers for watching us, and we will post it in a week on our social media. And if you don't mind, I would love to take a picture of us.
Okay, very good.
I'm going to screen share us. Here I took it. So I would like to thank you so much, Mark, for joining me today. It was a pleasure talking with you. And first, thank you again. And I hope you will like our edit. And I will send you a copy once it will be ready. And one thing I didn't tell you about is we're not just posting this, we also write your own story. I will look this all over the week and going to write your own Rotary story, and this will also be on our social media. So I guess this is a goodbye.
All right.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much, Ofek. And so this is the end of your Hanukkah holiday, back to school next week?
Yeah, actually in 3 days.
Okay. And now, are those your paintings behind you?
I wish this is just my grandmother's. On the guitar is me on my bar mitzvah, actually.
Okay. Very good. Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much, and take care.
You too. Thank you again so much, Mark.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.